Hola, Simon here from Clear Vision. Welcome to my channel, the place where you can find lots of practical help psychology videos for general well-being or a better way of living, or perhaps you're facing something right now and going through something, and there may be something here which can help you through it. All my videos are based on my experiences as a psychotherapist and as well as a university lecturer and working with students. Also, I bung a little bit of my own life experience in too. Today I wanted to have a look at or chat with you about something, it's a little bit tongue-in-cheek, but it's serious as well, and that is the phenomena of falling in love with the same person over and over and over and over again. And when I say same person, I mean the same different person, but with the same traits as your previous partner. So often I hear this one in the therapy room, which is, yeah, I've done it again. I've fallen in love with the same bloody person. What am I doing? Or, well, would you believe it? They're just like my ex. That's another one. So we get into a new relationship, and a few months down the line, we do that. We did it. I realised, what was her name? Marlene Dietrich. We realised, holy shit, I've done it again. I've fallen in love with the same person, or I've chosen the same person again. When this happened, I think most of us can say this has happened to us at some point. Once I was told by a shaman, well done, congratulations, it means you've leveled up. And I was like, what? And they said, it's the same person, and each time you kind of get a little bit wiser, they come along in a better disguise. And I was like, well, that's quite good actually. So that would be one reason. But today's video is going to look at a Jungian viewpoint on this, to try and help us understand what's going on here. So, and how to move through it. Now, I'm going to broaden this out a little bit as well. And these dynamics can also account for relationships of codependency and friendships which have gone on for a long time, or any type of friendship really, and relationships with family. Doesn't have to be a romantic relationship, but we'll center it around a romantic relationship. But bear in mind it can have the same dynamics apply, the same approach can apply to these other relationships. So for argument's sake, to begin to understand Jung, we need to understand that he believed that there were opposing aspects of psyche, opposing aspects of self. And one opposing aspect of self would be my gender opposite. Okay, so I'm a male, therefore I have a male ego, and therefore I have a female counterpart. This is relegated into the unconscious, it's pushed away. I don't want to know about it because I am male. And as with all Jungian concept and all ways of dealing with the psyche, Jung was, in a nutshell, was about bringing together, integrating opposing aspects of psyche, merging them together. So rather than having, being angry or peaceful or happy or sad or joyful and quiet or whatever, these opposing aspects of self, he believed that the idea was to try to bring them together, to integrate them together, and he called this the process the individuation process. I can do another video on that another time. So, and the individuation process pretty much takes a lifetime. It's drawn a little bit from the kind of Buddhist concept of life and moving towards nirvana and enlightenment. The older you get, hopefully the wiser you get, the more you kind of embrace yourself and every aspect of yourself. So, how does this fit into repeating relationships, or having a relationship with it's the same person every damn time? Let's say, for argument's sake, when we look at the archetypal pattern, let's say for argument's sake that my conscious way of being, my ego state as this man, as Simon, is a knight in shining armor. Now, the opposite to a knight in shining armor is a damsel in distress. So my female, my anima, my feminine counterpart is the damsel in distress. If you're male, you have if you're male, you have an anima, which is your female counterpart. If you're female, you have an animus, which is your male counterpart, which you and we relegate these to the unconscious. We don't want to know about them. So I don't want to know about my damsel in distress, who's inside of me. I'm only interested in seeking out a damsel in distress in the external world, and there's good reasons for doing that, and eventually, like a lot of stuff, it becomes detrimental to my own growth, my own personal growth. So to start with, I learned how to deal with the damsel in distress. Where I go from there is, if I continue my whole life to look for a damsel in distress all the time, I never address and look after the damsel in distress inside of me. Therefore, I never reach individuation. I never kind of become a fully functioning, self-regulating human being with a kind of content psyche, if you like. I am always looking externally for something. So the idea is here would be kind of like to see it in the external world, to learn how to rescue, change, embrace, integrate, and then do it to yourself. How does this play out? Well, so I come along across a female whose conscious ego state is the damsel in distress. She needs to be rescued, and she has in her unconscious ego state, in her unconscious, in her animus, she is the knight in shining armor, and she doesn't realize. So she's busy looking for someone unconsciously to project this knight in shining armor out onto, and I'm looking for someone unconsciously to project my damsel in distress out on, because it's easier to deal with in the external world than it is to deal with self. What do you mean by that, Simon? Well, if I have to deal with a damsel in distress that's inside of me, and I'm kind of this knight in shining armor, I'm kind of this rescuing kind of male figure, that means I have to admit my own weaknesses. If I'm a female and I act like a damsel in distress, someone's always rescuing me. I don't have to take responsibility for myself. I don't have to learn my own inner strengths. I don't have to hone them and develop them. It's easier to let someone else do it for me, rather than realize that the knight in shining armor is within me, and I can damn well rescue myself, okay? And I don't need Mr. Knight in shining armor to come and do it. So, but for the moment, it's projected out. What happens is the relationship will break down after a certain amount of time when you can no longer fulfill your role, your script as your conscious archetypal ego state. If you are Peter Pan and your partner is asking you to grow up, you will split up from them. If you are the knight in shining armor and your partner does no longer need rescuing, she's no longer a damsel in distress, your relationship will break down. If you are a damsel in distress who no longer needs rescuing, your relationship will break down. This is where codependent relationships can break down, because the person who needs to be healed becomes healed. Therefore, the healer has no more role in their life and doesn't know who to be, so it causes problems. And there's a whole host of there's a whole variety of other things. So in a very, very crude basic example, the conscious ego state of one person matches the unconscious state of another person, and vice versa. So you get this kind of twist and hook, okay? But it's not going to last. If they're both into inner work and growing, then it's going to collapse, because eventually you should be doing that. You should be looking after yourself. So I hope that makes sense. Okay, so let's take this one step further and bring this in a little less kind of fairy tale like, etc, etc, and those stories, although those stories are important. But let's say you have inside of you an unlived artist, and this unlived artist, you don't want to nurture that unlived artist because you've received nothing. It's unlived for a reason. Maybe you received criticism when you were a child, maybe your parents relegated such things or berated such things, or at some point you were told you were not very good at it. sports, art, creativity, whatever that may be. So you end up with people, you keep choosing people who are artistic, musicians or artists or actors or sports people living their own life. This could be another way of looking at it. People who are going out there and doing their thing. And you're not doing your thing because you relegated your thing unconsciously and you daren't touch it, you daren't look at it. So you look at everybody else's and you can live it through them. This is another way of looking at it. So you live it through them. Because the hard work is doing it for yourself. The easier work is to do it via the external world. So going back to the beginning of the video where I said you can learn these skills in the external world. So as the knight in shining armor, I can learn how to rescue damsels in distress in order to then use that experience to nurture my own inner damsel in distress. The same with the damsel in distress. She can be rescued numerous times till she learns how to rescue herself, because she's being shown all the time. So it's like I say, it sounds like a very crude, kind of basic example, but if you begin to then apply this in an abstract manner to our characteristics, so let's say for instance, I don't know, again they all sound a bit cliche and archetypal, but you know, you always pick I don't know, abusive women, abusive men, delinquent women, delinquent men, or people who are emotionally unavailable, or fixer-uppers, people who are anxiously attached, you know, completely anxiously attached, need rescuing all the time. All of these kind of things. If you keep picking the same type of person for a romantic relationship or a friendship, and one with friendships often is, and it can happen in romantic relationships, but is perhaps wise sage and the student who doesn't know anything, you know, the hapless student, or the unsung hero, you know. So someone can always be wise and have all the answers within the relationship and show the other person the way. Well, when that fails, when that person no longer needs showing the way, that relationship's going to fail, according to Jung, which kind of makes a lot of sense actually. The wise sage needs to realize there's a student inside of him, and the student needs to realize that there's a wise sage inside of them. But you need to learn these things in the external world and then apply them to your inner world. It's where Jung was going with it. So one way to look at these repeating relationships, repeating styles or types of person that you keep falling in love with, is because that type of person, if you're boiling them down to a type, is within you and you haven't addressed it. So like with a lot of psychology and a lot of my videos, I keep coming back around to the self, doing the work, looking at yourself. So if you're always picking emotionally unavailable, distant people, abusive people, people who can't take responsibility, you're always picking up the slack for them, or people who are helpless, hopeless, whatever it may be, you're fulfilling something for yourself and not fulfilling another aspect of yourself. So you're fulfilling this kind of ego, kind of conscious awaking ego state, according to Jung, but you're not actually nurturing and integrating that which you've relegated, that which is unlived. So if and again, I'm going into, you know, the unlived artist within yourself, the unrescued damsel in distress who can actually rescue herself, I don't know, whatever it may be that's been relegated into your unconscious. You're not going to pay attention to it, and you need to. Once, according to Jung, once you have integrated that aspect into self, embraced, once you've realized as the knight in shining armor that you have a damsel in distress and you go and rescue her, or once you realize you are a damsel in distress and you have a knight in shining armor inside of you and you go and rescue yourself, then you become very powerful. Then you begin this journey, this individuation journey. You're on it. You're becoming a more functioning person, less reactive. You're not functioning on projections and reactions and unconscious things going on. You're actually moving through the world with this kind of like the blinkers are off, the filters are off, you are becoming you. You are embracing you. Therefore, you will meet someone else as your truer self, more balanced self, and you'll meet them the same way, and you'll perhaps avoid what you were once previously attracted to. It's quite complex. I hope that made a little bit of sense. I might have to redo this video because it is trying to condense quite a lot of examples and theories all into like 10-15 minutes, but that's pretty much it in a nutshell from a Jungian point of view. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next video. In the meantime, please take care of yourselves.